I was the co-creator with Ed, and we co-wrote 3 episodes, then I directed 6 of them. I started off with brown hair, now I've got grey hair. And I was the exec producer, which sounds grand, but it isn't. I was part of the team. Gethin and Ed were the producers.
Yeah, I've been the co-creator on the series with Ed Thomas, one of the producers as well. I've written some of the episodes, and just been one of the cheerleaders really for the series since it was sort of first dreamt up back in 2010. How did the series start? I think it started really with an impulse to make a show from Wales that had something to say about Wales.
But we knew crime drama was the most consumed, whether it was in books or in films or in television. So we thought, why don't we kind of use the crime genre to tell a story about Wales, you know, in a landscape which was good and as authentically as possible. And instead of trying to make it an euro pudding, trying to please everyone, to make it absolutely local as we could, in the hope that it would be universal. And thankfully, that's largely what's happened, which is terrific.
We visited lots of places in Wales looking for potential locations for the series. I mean, Ceredigion just leapt out, really. The landscape was fantastic. It was an area that's seldom seen on screens in Wales or the UK.
We picked Ceredigion because we wanted to make Hinterland as authentic as we could. So there's no point setting it in a place where we as a group of producers and creators didn't think that the Welsh language would sing. The Welsh language as spoken in a police procedural would be believable. And we design it within that so that if you like, there's very few briefings in Hinterland. The back room is always meant to be where 4 people who happen to be detectives discuss a case in Welsh because it's their language. We thought that Aberystwyth was a good place to start because it had a majestic hinterland, but also it was a university town and a great bay, and some architecture. The old college was great, so we could construct something from there.
I've actually known about David's photography for years, and actually a project that I worked on a few years back was inspired in part by one of his black and white photographs of an old cottage in West Wales. I think the way he photographs the landscape is very evocative.
It was wonderful. I'd never really explored Ceredigion that much before, but having now explored it, I want to move there. And unlike Pembrokeshire, which is beautiful by the way, it feels kind of undeveloped, untouched. It's almost like stepping back a couple of decades perhaps in places. Well, I love lots of things about landscape, but that kind of weather-beaten, worn away, rusty, rotten, boggy, it's just wonderful. And the miserable, the better.
As soon as we saw some of his work, I mean, he got the majesty and the misery and the scale, and every picture tells a story. You know, it sounds really pretentious, but one of the things the landscape gave Hinterland is a sense of timelessness and myth. There are no contemporary references in any of the scripts, you know, so at the time David Cameron and Brexit didn't exist in Hinterland. David gets that mythical way of putting a camera on a landscape and ways of seeing, and he uses black and white terrifically. Colour, for me, and it's only my personal opinion, kind of gives the whole game away really. Black and white keeps a little bit back, makes it a bit more, definitely more drama, because you've got tones rather than colours, so contrast works. I just think it's more timeless as well. You can look at a black and white image in years to come and it could have been taken yesterday, whereas colour ages. I mean, if you look at Hinterland, there's no uppercase, big H, there's a lowercase. This is a really lo-fi, humble, honest, non-cynical attempt at trying to put a landscape into a form, and David does it brilliantly with his pictures.
I think people respond to the series in different ways. There are crime diehards who just love the whodunit nature, and then there are other people who absolutely dine out on the landscape, and then all the people in between. I think the book captures the landscape and the mood of the series and the mood of the landscape. So I think people who've loved the series for those reasons will get a huge amount out of the book. For the fans, I hope that the images I've taken can kind of reinterpret what they've already seen on the screen, but complement it at the same time. Then for people who perhaps maybe haven't seen the programme, hopefully it'll open their eyes to how beautiful Ceredigion is. If it does that, it'd be great.